Guys, color me impressed. This is something I was not prepared to talk about. This is something I was not prepared to um, give ChatGPT credit for. And I know, uh, but just honestly, bear with me here because this is something that is going to revolutionize, I think, literary criticism. And I don't mean that. Look, okay. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford. We're here for a poetry discussion, which will take place in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one being the poetry discussion playlist, now nearing 400 videos strong, but also the Emily Dickinson playlist, which is ever closer to 100 videos strong. The poem in question today, The Soul Selects Her Own Society. Now, I am ever more enthralled with the idea of hauntology. And we'll get there. It is an idea set, a lens, if you will. So one of the ways that is perhaps best to think about interpretations, one of the ways that is best to think about literary theories is as a lens that we can put on or take off of different pieces, right? So we read The Great Gatsby and we put on the Marxist theory lens. We read The Great Gatsby, we put on the feminist theory lens. We read The Great Gatsby, we put on the new criticism lens. Oftentimes, what happens is people read The Great Gatsby, etc., watch a movie, read a poem, whatever it is, and they put on the reader's criticism lens, or reader's response lens, depending on where you learned the term. And that's just how you respond to it, which, okay, great. When we apply a philosophy or a theory to a work, it's the same thing. We're just changing the nomenclature with which we talk about it. It's the same thing as a reader's response. It's the same thing. This is popularized mostly with movies. So someone will watch the newest movie, you'll watch the newest movie, and they make a video about it, and you look up movie reviews on YouTube, and what the fuck is in my mouth? You look up movie reviews on YouTube, you find that movie, and they are giving you their thoughts and feelings about the film. All theoretical readings are, all a feminist reading is that same thing as a reader's response, but through the lens of feminist theory. There's no real hauntological theory. There's no real hauntological theory for literature. This, The Soul Selects Her Own Society, would present a very interesting entryway for just such a theory to take hold. We'll get there, but let me get through this real quick. Certain texts are more perfect than others for certain interpretations, for certain philosophies, for certain theories. If you were looking at hauntology, the presence of something spectral itself would provide a very neat jumping off point for that theoretical lens. The Soul Selects Her Own Society reads as such. The soul selects her own society, then shuts the door to her divine majority, present no more. Unmoved, she notes the chariots pausing at her low gate, unmoved an emperor be kneeling upon her mat. I've known her from an ample nation. Choose one, then close the valves of her attention like a stone. So, what is hauntology? Well, I asked ChatGPT to give me a 150 word summary of hauntology. I haven't counted the words. Why doesn't it give me a word count? It used to give you a word count when you highlight something. Anyway, hauntology is a term coined by philosopher Jacques Derrida and further developed by cultural theorists like Mark Fisher. Explores the ways in which the past continues to haunt the present, disrupting linear conceptions of time and identity. It is concerned with the spectral traces of history, memory, and trauma that linger in the collective psyche, manifesting as absences, disjunctions, and unresolved tensions within contemporary culture. Hauntology challenges traditional notions of progress and linear temporality, suggesting that the past is not simply relegated to history, but remains alive and active, exerting influence on the present through its spectral presence. This spectral dimension of the past, characterized by what Derrida calls the trace, disrupts stable categories and binaries, opening up spaces for alternative forms of understanding and identity. Hauntology invites critical reflection on the complexities of memory, longing, and the persistence of absence in human experience, highlighting the enduring power of the past to shape our present realities. Now, a couple things here. Number one, yes, that is about as simple as the idea of hauntology can be broken down, and it even leaves out some very critical things. Um, In French, hauntology sounds exactly like the word ontology. Ontology in English, so they sound a little bit different in English, but in Derrida's French, they sound the same. Why would they sound the same? I'll leave you to figure that part. But here's another thing about this. ChatGPT is hauntology goes back, I believe, to the 80s. I believe Spectres of Marx was written in the 80s. And maybe 90, maybe 1990, 1989, I can't remember. But this means this is not public domain work. ChatGPT had to have learned this from somewhere or just straight up stolen it. Now, I've done some reading on hauntology, but this wording does not strike me as something that I have read before, but it's possible this is just straight up stolen from somewhere else. Now, terrifyingly, your old buddy Adrian might be out of business because what I do here on the channel is I try to take these things and these types of ideas, these types of philosophies, these types of interpretations and theories, apply them to different poems mainly, and come up with an interpretation thereon, because that's interesting, right? These are the different lenses through which we get to look at literature, and thereby we get to look at life through these same types of interpretations. There's no big book of hauntological interpretations. And yet, when I asked ChatGPT, give me a hauntological interpretation of the soul selects her own society, we get the following. A hauntological interpretation of The Soul Selects Her Own Society by Emily Dickinson might explore themes of absence, loss, and the persistence of the past within the present. Hauntology, a concept developed in philosophy and cultural theory by Jacques Derrida and later expanded upon by theorists like Mark Fisher, examines the ways in which the past continues to haunt the present, disrupting linear notions of time and identity. So kind of what we already read in the breakdown of what hauntology is. In the context of Dickinson's poem, a hauntological interpretation could focus on the idea that the soul's selective nature is influenced by past experiences, memories, and traumas that linger in the psyche. As almost inevitably, that will be a valid interpretation of this poem, whether you put hauntology in the title or not. The poem's emphasis on the soul's autonomy in choosing its companions could be seen as an attempt to navigate the spectral traces of the past, selecting connections that resonate with or offer solace in the face of haunting memories or absences. The notion of the soul shutting the door and remaining steadfast in its choices could be interpreted as a form of containment or protection against the specters of the past, closing off certain associations or influences that evoke painful or disruptive memories. However, the persistence of these spectral traces suggests that the past is never fully eradicated, but continues to exert influence on the present, shaping the soul's choices and interactions in subtle ways. This interpretation, the soul selects her own society. In this interpretation, the soul selects her own society, becomes a meditation on the enduring presence of the past within the present, highlighting the ways in which the past experiences and traumas continue to shape individual identity and relationships. This could really be condensed. Um, in this interpretation, the soul selects her own society becomes a meditation on past trauma still existing in the present. But nonetheless, the poem invites readers to contemplate the complexities of memory, longing, and the persistence of absence in the human psyche. Even the persistence of absence played into this poem, offering a lens, look, a lens, through which to explore the haunting interplay between past and present. Guys, I might have to start an OnlyFans if this is what ChatGPT is going to be doing here. Wow, wow, wooey. So is it perfect? No. Is it interesting? Yes. Has this lens ever been put on the soul selects her own society? Very heavily, I doubt it. But if you were to sit down with hauntology as a lens, guys, I don't know if there's any better. There might not be better places to apply that lens than where the interpretation through ChatGPT actually did it. That is terrifying. And look, guys, that's really good. That is a really good interpretation. If you want to see pictures of my feet, let me know. This is wild. This is a wild development for ChatGPT. I wonder how much more I'm going to do this with my time. I wonder how much goes into this from the ChatGPT standpoint, right? But all of literature. So this Emily Dickinson, I believe, is public domain. Some of not, I don't believe all of Emily Dickinson is public domain. I believe most of it is. It was written over 100 years ago, but it was not made public over 100 years ago, which I think is the big holdup with things like this. But I don't know how much text is available in ChatGPT. So could this offer interpretations of George Saunders? I'm sure to find out, but I do not know. Hauntology with Emily Dickinson in general is going to be something that, if the field of hauntology, the study of hauntology, hauntological theory develops, Emily Dickinson is a place to watch. I believe that with hauntology, one of the big holdups is that everyone who's writing about hauntology is a dang commie. And because of this, everything in hauntology that you can read, that you can find and read, talks about late stage capitalism and how capitalism ruined everything. So I think that the lens of hauntology has been halted because of that. I have personal theories on why hauntology is really more prevalent in our psyche than we would know, than we would maybe readily be able to point to. But I have to flesh that out. But yeah, I just thought you would be interested in this. A really good interpretation of this poem. And if you do have the $20 a month to chalk up to ChatGPT, it's worth a chance, putting it out there and seeing what you can find. But yeah, that's all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more literary goodness. There's poetry on the channel every Monday. Shortly after National Poetry Month, I will be cutting down production, but I will still be coming out with multiple videos per week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.